I want to get your opinion on how the courts and the judiciary have handled this back and forth that has had us watching the news and reading newspapers and shaking our heads as to exactly how our judiciary plans to make all of these judgments appease everyone.
Well, thank you very much. The whole thing is a sad story. And I, as somebody who has been following the issue for before independence, I'm not a happy man at all. And it's unfortunate that the judiciary that should be a balm on our soul is making our story worse. You see, my own point of view right now, no matter what anybody is saying, the country needs to complete overhauling. You must change the constitution now and not wait for another election before you begin to talk about anything. Every evil we are talking of now is embedded on the imposed constitution by the military. And I say this, I want people who will doubt that to go and read the imposed constitution. Because I am, from experience and intercourse and conversation with these professors, they don't understand what is in the federal constitution before independence, which they are now comparing with this imposed one. Take, for instance, when you talk of security.
Me to apologize and interrupt you right now. We have to take a very short break. More when we return on Newsday. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Newsday. We do apologize for the long break in transmission. Now, as we said earlier, with the conclusion of the 2023 general election and practically all acts of litigations that emanated from it, Nigeria can be said to have navigated a rather tricky phase in her journey to nationhood. In the midst of the current economic challenges, however, that journey, which has now been piloted by a brand new president, has not been as certain and as sure-footed as many Nigerians would.
My people, how can you mistakenly bomb civilians? Like how? As in January 2017, Nigerian army mistakenly killed 236 civilians by blowing up a refugee camp in Borno. They killed men, women, children, including 20 Red Cross volunteers. You don't mistakenly kill 236 people. And then in April of 2020, in another airstrike, they mistakenly killed 17 children that were playing under a mango tree in Borno. In 2021, the Air Force also mistakenly bombed a fish market in Borno. Dozens of people were killed because they went to buy fish. January 2023 this year, they also mistakenly bombed and killed about 40 civilians in Kaduna. Now, this past Monday, they've mistakenly dropped another bomb at a people that were celebrating a religious festival, killing at least 85 civilians, although Amnesty International is saying it is 120 people. Guys, how does that make sense? I mean, between 2017 and now, the media is telling us that the military has mistakenly killed more than 400 civilians. However, ACLED, that is the Armed Conflict Location and Events Data, is telling us that it is much more than that. They are saying at least 2,600 civilians have been mistakenly killed. So why do we keep calling that mistake is what I don't know. Even me, somebody cannot mistakenly slap me 5 different times. Not to talk about mistakenly killing people over and over again. More than 2,000 people for buying fish, for playing outside, for celebrating, for being refugees. I don't get it. Guys, so long as we accept that it's a mistake and nobody is held accountable for their actions, it will continue to happen. Nigerian army, when something has become a pattern, it is no longer a mistake. Imagine people mistakenly blowing up your own base over and over and telling you it's a mistake. Haba, you need to start holding your officers accountable so that they will learn to double check, extra check before releasing airstrikes. In fact, in another country, some organs would have been fired. You killed 236 people, you say it's a mistake. You killed 60 people, you say it's a mistake. You can't. In a sane country, in a sane society, you can't get away with saying that it's a mistake. They will now gather themselves. They will say they want to go and visit the victims. And then that is where it ends. Haba, who does that? Especially because this is happening in the north. A lot of people don't care. I'm sorry to say, but many people really don't care. But the truth of the matter is, it's not just affecting northerners. In fact, it can happen to anybody. Your girl has been to this same Borno where they are mistakenly bombing. I've been to 2 refugee camps now. Imagine them saying, oh, they mistakenly bombed the refugee camp that I went to. I'm just saying, it can happen to anybody. But knowing Nigeria, it'll be business as usual. And speaking of mistakenly shooting at people or killing people, remember the president that was mistakenly shot by one of his own soldiers in 2012? Well, the president of Mauritania, the man has been sentenced to jail. Well, ex-president, I should say, ex-president Mohamed Abdulaziz, he's been sentenced to 5 years in prison for corruption, guys. They said they found him guilty of money laundering and self-enrichment. I said, wait, hold up. Maybe we need the court in Mauritania to visit some other African countries because I can name 1, 2, 3. I see so many. I beg. They also froze his assets. This is a president that came in via a coup in 2008, promising to do well by the people, and then considering the fact that he almost died in 2012 when he was mistakenly shot by one of his own soldiers, you would think that such experience, that close brush with death, would make him do well. No, he didn't. He's already been detained since the beginning of last year, and now he's been given a 5-year sentencing. Let me know what you guys think about that. Can that happen in your country? If you're watching me, you're not from Mauritania. Can that happen in your country? By the way, I know the big question on the minds of the Nigerians that are watching me right now. Is it true that Tinubu was speaking in tongues at the UAE summit, you know? Was he speaking gibberish or not? People have been saying all kinds of things. Don't worry, watch out for the next video. Too many things have happened. I'm not sure where to start. The most shocking one is the Lagos State government.
7.5 million naira to replace liquid fragrance in his office.
Hey!
And 3 billion naira to purchase rechargeable fans for the office of his deputy, Obafemi Hamzat.
You know, they come back, they said, oh, it's a typo. It's not 3 billion, it is actually 2 million naira for rechargeable fans. So, the devil is a liar.
Over 440 million naira for the purchase of a new Lexus LX600 bulletproof sport utility vehicle.
Jesus.
The government also approved 152 million for the restoration of water supply at Idungono Palace, official residence of the Oba of Lagos.
This 444 million naira bulletproof vehicle for distinguished guests will only last for how long?
It's being used for visiting dignitaries. It's a brand new car. It would last for the next 4 to 5 years.
Did he say 45 years or 4 to 5 years?
It's a brand new car. It would last for the next 4 to 5 years.
No. This is daylight robbery. He said 4 to 5 years. So in another 4 to 5 years, they will do what? They will buy another one. This is a sin. And this is different from the ones bought for the office of the chief of staff.
The office of chief of staff is 800 plus people, various buildings.
800 people in the office of the chief of staff alone. Doing what? So how many people don't say job in Lagos? How many people are doing government in Lagos?
In Lagos, we run a very transparent system. So the fact that everything we've done is actually situated on the PPA website, I think is a starting point. So there's a lot of transparency. Everything is there.
You want us to thank you for publishing how you spend the people's money for the people to see? You are packaging it as if you are doing us a favor. They spent 152 million naira to restore water at the palace of the Oba of Lagos.
So talking about the renovation of the Oba's palace, it's part of our social responsibility. The guy Idungono is not just another Oba's palace. It's historic. It's also a national monument.
152 million, Lori Omi, Uncle Omotoso.
For Lagos State government to wash and allowed Iga to deteriorate or not to have water or not to have all of the amenities that it's supposed to have is going to be diminishing to not just to Lagos State government, to an average Lagosian.
Hey, my father. You are a very, I don't want this smooth talker, but you have a way of explaining everything. In fact, people will start pitying the government. You know how to explain anything. You were also defending buying this 444 million naira vehicle for dignitaries.
Honestly, the governor used to surrender his own vehicle for such dignitaries.
Which is a good thing.
Did you hear Dr. Abati? I am sorry. Uncle Abati, yes, say that. The man was expecting you to say, wow, what a sacrifice the governor was making. The sacrificial lamb. Instead, you just spoke the truth. Are you a photo? Uncle Motoso. I mean, you justified spending 581 million on renovating a church.
That church, Lagos State went in there because we had to demolish part of the property. We had to take away their parking lot. We had to take away their fence and some other things there because we were building the Adeniji Adele Road.
More than $500 million. You guys don't understand. Because you actually think that you're doing something right by defending padded budget. You're defending lavish spending of public funds when you're supposed to be the ones ensuring that the governor and everybody at the governor's office does not engage in ridiculous spending so that you won't have to defend ridiculous things. Benny, who spends 152 million on restoring water in one palazzo when the minimum wage cannot buy a bag of rice? Do you understand that a lot of people can barely make ends meet? What happened to the fear of God? And you guys will go to church, you will go to mosque. The president of Malawi is trending for suspending all foreign trips by government officials, starting with himself, just to cut costs.
I myself have to lead by example. This is why, effective immediately, all of my international trips between now and the end of the fiscal year, beginning with my trip to COP28 at the end of this month, are cancelled. By extension, I'm putting a freeze on all public-funded international trips for all public officers at all levels.
You see. But we are justifying spending 2 million naira on rechargeable funds. We are saying it's not 3 billion, it's 2 million. Who spends 2 million on rechargeable funds? It's like you guys are not ashamed. 444 million on one car in this age. How do you sleep at night? By the way, why is nobody explaining to us the 7.5 million that they allegedly spent on liquid fragrance for the governor's office? My friend, what is is wrong with you? We're discussing something serious here. Yeah, no, that cannot go in this video. Another video. Don't distract me. I'm very, very upset right now. And what was I saying? Lagos State is like a country in itself. More than 15 million people. Your job is to make the lives of these people better. The number one reason you were appointed and selected or voted for is to make lives better for the people of your state. But look at how you are spending money and you are defending. No, stop defending these things. Until you need somebody that will be telling you guys the truth. Somebody that is not on your payroll, so they have nothing to gain from you. But because it's like you guys don't know what is right, what is wrong anymore. I'm having sleepless nights because of you guys.
Peter Obi did a statement and he asked what exactly is wrong with us as a country. Well, the question is, if you ask me, who I go ask? Here's the statement from him. He said, even as I am studying the 2024 fiscal budget as presented to the National Assembly last week, I cannot wait as I am compelled to ask, what is exactly wrong with us as a country? I ask this question because it is hard for me to understand some of the recent happenings in our nation in these critical times. The recent news about a budget provision of 15 billion naira for the construction of a new residence for the vice president, he's not my vice president, is both shocking and disheartening, considering the many important challenges facing the nation. Just recently, in the supplementary budget, the sum of 2.5 billion naira was included for the renovation of the vice president's residence in Abuja, which means that he already has a residence. Again, during the budget presentation, I heard the sum of 3 billion naira was allocated for the renovation of the vice president's residence in Lagos. If we total all these sums, we would have budgeted the sum of 20.5 billion naira for the housing of the vice president at this critical time when we are not just the world's poverty capital, but more people are falling into poverty, with so many Nigerians not knowing where their next meal will come from. Our health facilities have collapsed and unemployment is skyrocketing. I'm convinced that 99.9% of Nigerians can only dream of living in the current residence of the vice president. Several people employed in the universities are not being paid. Just to give example, the salary of a professor in a Nigerian university is about 400,000 naira, which without removing tax is about 5 million a year. What we have budgeted for the housing of the vice president, who is already luxuriously housed, is therefore the annual salary of about 3,000 professors. This is the finance needed to develop the much needed human capital. The budget of 5 billion for student loans, which is yet to be disbursed, is only a tiny percentage of the cost of the vice president's new home. We are projecting to use 4 times the amount for educating all Nigerian indigent students to house the vice president. And we are being told that there is nothing wrong with us. I'm sure the major teaching hospitals in Nsukka, Lagos, Ibadan, Zaria did not receive this much capital votes in the budget this year. We've had leaders that were exemplary in the past. Most Nigerians may not know that the popular 1004 flats in Lagos was a land allocated for the building of a presidential mansion for the then head of state, General Murtala Mohammed. He sternly turned down the offer and instructed that the land should be used to build blocks of flats for civil servants. That is a kind of sacrificial leadership worth emulating. Our leaders must therefore stop the recklessness and insensitivity to the plight of the masses. We need leaders who show compassion and are willing to sacrifice for common progress and development. Such compassionate and frugal leaders are critical in our journey to the new Nigeria. I think there's nothing to add here, so I'm going to end this video here. Everything is captured in that statement. Thank you for watching.